All right, I have started recording. So, um, can anyone tell me like what is your understanding about positive testing and negative testing? Okay, so you are saying that positive testing and negative testing, right? Both of the testing we do to make sure that the application behaves as expected, right? Both of the testing we do to make sure that the application is behaving as expected. Now, there is a specific purpose of positive testing and there is a specific purpose of testing, right? So you are saying the positive testing, the purpose of positive testing, and if I say, okay, what is positive testing? Positive testing is to make sure that the software is behaving as expected with valid credentials. Valid credentials. And Nahid bhai, are you in the call? Can you hear us? Yeah. Can you tell us something about negative testing? Invalid data. Okay. So that means like with negative data, we want to see a specific behavior, right? We want to see a specific behavior from the application. If we get that specific behavior, then we are saying that the application is functioning properly. So the positive testing and negative testing, um, actually with this both of this testing, we make sure that the application is behaving as expected. And we basically in positive testing we provide valid data, and in negative testing we provide invalid data. With positive or valid data, we expect that application will be working as expected positively, and with negative data we expect that the application will be displaying corresponding error messages, right? So if you summarize, positive testing is the type of testing that can be performed on the system by providing the valid data as it. And negative testing, invalid data as input, and you expect corresponding error messages. With negative data, you do not expect that, let's say if you consider that login scenario, with negative data, you do not expect that the application will be and allow you to log in. Uh, mhm. Yeah, exactly. So specifically, guys, specifically negative testing, when you define negative testing, you have to say that, okay, testing the application with invalid data, and with invalid data, if the application is displaying the expected behavior, expected message. Negative testing always invalid data. Positive testing, good data. Okay. Okay, so another type of testing that we want to bring here is the smoke testing. What is your understanding? If any of you can um, tell me about your understanding on smoke testing. So, so to be more specific, let me give you an example. So let's say that when let's say a company build a machine, okay, and then when it first start the machine, if the machine is smoke out, if the machine is smoke out, then what do you say? Actually, there is many thing problem. The total system need to be revisit, rebuilt. So in software testing, right? Smoke testing is a specific testing where we test to see if the application is, if the build is stable or not, stable or not. So in smoke testing, we test a key set of scenarios. Only key test cases, not all of the test cases. We test the major functionalities in smoke testing. What we do in smoke testing, we test the major functionalities, right? If these major functionalities are good, right, then only we go for detailed testing. Then we go for, like, this smoke testing is to make sure that, like, when the testing team will be going for a detailed testing, it will take a lot of time, and testers, their time is very, it is very expensive, right? So in the middle of the testing, if they find that, okay, this application is not suitable for testing, it is actually, there are a lot of things, it is, the build is not stable, then the whole, like, the time they have spent on it, right, it's very expensive, and it is a loss for the company. So what we do, we define few key test cases, and when a new build is there, right, what we do, when a new build is there, we first test this key test cases, which we are calling smoke testing, and by testing these testing test cases, the goal is to make sure that if the build is stable, and to decide if detailed testing will be done. If the smoke testing, if everyone is happy with the smoke testing scenarios, then the whole team goes for the detailed testing. Does it make sense? Yeah, it is the key test scenarios, by testing which the testing team decides if the build is stable or not, and based on this testing, the testing team decide whether detailed testing will be done or not. Are you good? Okay. So here, these three types of testing that we have discussed, right? One is that positive testing, negative testing, and smoke testing, right? Another kind of testing that we do is integration testing. Can anyone define what is integration testing?
So integration testing is that we the individual software modules are combined together as a group. If we course as a do your course as a integration testing.
Nahid bhai?
Like for example, if you need to use the data for someone who built your software, you need to get some combine or integrate. Like there's a bridge you're gonna build, which is called API. The you asking to use that data, you asking some request, and they send you a token. You're gonna make a bridge with them to use that data and some things. This functionality I think called integration.
Amit, are you there in the call? Can you hear us?
Yes, can you?
Yeah. Can you tell me something what you understand about integration testing? Do you have any idea? Like in this, we are discussing different kind of testing those testers execute in their day-to-day life. So, do you have any idea what is integration testing? Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. If you have any idea, go ahead. You are breaking, Amit. Yeah, now I can hear you. Seems like you have a issue in your microphone. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You are breaking, Amit. Okay, so let me define this. So integration testing, Nahid, by and everyone. Integration testing, basically, it is like when they develop the software, right? There are different units of the software. Let's say login module, and then customer service module, and then you say statement module. There are different module of the application. So a group of developers might be working on login module, few developers might be working on statement module, few developers might be working on transaction module, few developers might be working on customer service module. Individually they are working on their functionality. Now when this software is going for a build deployment, right, when this software is deployed, basically what they do, they combine all of these modules together: customer service module, login module, transaction module, right? So integration testing is to make sure that when these different units or module is combined, the software is behaving or acting accordingly. Like when the software, uh, when these modules are deployed as a group, to make sure that the modules are working as a whole system. That is what we do in integration testing. Okay, so that means like you can say that it is a uh, it is a grouping of the different group of the software, and when you group them together, each of the group has their work, but to make sure that when as a system, when it is when you log in as a system, then from login individually, when the developers were developing the login module, they were able to log in with valid credential, and then they were able to you know test the negative login as well. It is fine, but when they are logging in now with login, there is a customer service module, there is a transactions module, right? So they are able to log in, and then after that, from login, they are able to go to the transactions, and they are able to see the activities, right? That is what. And then they are able to go to customer service, they are able to change address. So that is what, when all of these groups are together, it is data are flowing from one group to another, right? Data, let's say that when you are logging in, when you are logging in, then when you go to the activity page, you should be able to see your activity, not others people activity. So that is what, like, to make sure that all of these modules, when it is connected together, these modules are working as expected as a group. Okay, so that is what we do in integration testing. Any questions so far, guys?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Normally, in this the field
Mhm.
to us, we just there's that one, like there's that one field, maybe the login part, according to the integration definition, all the modules they're going to unite it, and there's going to be a whole functionality of this product. So that time we're going to test all these things once you. So we're going to repeat all these things. As integration testing is functioning properly, or we're gonna go for the next specific things.
So uh, during integration testing, like when we are calling, okay, this is integration testing. So what happens? Let me give you a specific example. So here, um, I'm going to give an example from the real life field. So let's say that um, you work in, for example, let's say you work in Wells Fargo Bank. Okay. Now your payslip, you get payslip from. Remember, this payslip will be in most of the cases, your payment and everything will be coming, will be managed by ADP or any other bigger organization. You got it? So if you work in a bigger organization, you will see that you work for Wells Fargo, but your salary, your payslip, for those kind of thing, you will have to go to ADP's website because they manage the payment related information. Do you understand these scenarios, like what is happening? So you work in Wells Fargo, but your salary is coming from ADP. So what is happening, right? Um, when, like, let's say at the end of the year, you have, like, every year you will get a salary increment, right? Every year you will get a salary increment, and from the beginning of the year or from a certain period of the year, your salary will be increased a little bit. Your salary will not be decreased, but your salary will be increased a little bit. So when your salary will be increased, then who will take the decision to increase your salary? It is the organization where you work, and based on the decision, your salary will be calculated, and your pay slip will be updated, your everything will be updated, right? So that's that, like, you have a portal in your organization where all of these things, they save the information. Now this information will have to be reflected in ADP's system. Is that correct? So your the portal that you are using to see your salary, it is bringing data from uh, ADP's website, where you have, like, all of the calculation, your pay stub, your W2, everything is generated from there, right? So when you are looking at this data is again stored in ADP's website. You are seeing this data. So what does this mean? That means, like, there is a module here in your organization, and there is another module in the ADP's site. Both of this data will have to be matched in order to, like, if if the data is not synchronized between these two systems, then you will not be able to, you will not get correct information, right? So that is what, like, we are calling, like you have a module here and you have another module in another system or in the same system but it is a different module. You'll have to make sure that the the data that you are seeing, it is matching between these two modules. So this is one of the example. Another example that I gave you is that, let's say your Bank of America account, there is a login module, there are customer service module, and there are, let's say, transactions module, right? So the development wise, these different modules are developed separately by separate developers. Now they, each of the development group, they work on their particular group. So the software will be going to production, or software will be deployed by combining all of this group. When you combine all of this group, they will have to interrelated, they will have to work together as a whole system. That is what we do in integration testing. And in integration testing, again, our, like, it is again not the end-to-end testing. Here in integration testing, there is a specific focus. What is that specific focus? Here we do not do thorough testing. Instead, we see some key scenarios which are interrelated between the modules. And these interrelated modules, if we see these modules are working, then we say, yeah, integration wise it is fine. Make sense? Now, so where do we do the detailed testing, right? So once this integration related testing is done, then we do thorough testing, which we are calling integration testing. Integration testing means all of the testing scenarios we execute to make sure that our application is good. So when we are saying all of the testing scenarios, right? Remember that when you develop the software, you develop uh, group by group functionality. So let's say that if you are in a agile methodology, let's say you are in a sprint 3, right? Remember we have discussed agile and waterfall methodology, right? So let's say you are in a agile methodology and your team is now working on which sprint 3. So before you go to sprint 3, there were development in sprint 1, there were development in sprint 2. Is that correct? So in integration testing, when we are in sprint 3, in sprint 3, let's say you have 40 test cases, right? To test the functionality in sprint 3, you have 40 test cases. And then to test the functionality in sprint 1, you have 30 test cases. To test the functionality in sprint 2, you have 35 test cases. Okay, so you have 30 test cases from sprint 1, you have 35 test cases in sprint 2, and then you have 40 test cases in sprint. Actually, let's say you have 20 test cases, 20 new test cases in sprint 3. So how many test cases altogether in sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3? 30, 35, and 20. That means you have 85 test cases, right? So when we have developed sprint 1, the functionality that we have developed in sprint 1, right? We have developed some functionalities in sprint 1. We have tested how many test cases? There were 30 test cases. We have tested 30 test cases. And then when we developed sprint 2, how many test cases we have? 35. This is for the functionality that we have in sprint 2, right? And then, so when you do testing in sprint 2, do you test only this 35 test cases that is for sprint 2, or you test all of the test cases that was in sprint 1, that is 30 plus 35, 65? How many test cases do you test in sprint 2?
I do only the 35, but already did this before. Sprint is just like for 2 weeks, right?
Sprint 2 weeks, it can be 4 weeks, it can be 1 week, depending on. Okay, so here is the thing. So when during sprint 1, you have functionality, you have tested it, and then you you go for sprint 2. When sprint 2, when they have added new functionality, remember you have to test both, all of the functionality those are in sprint 1, and the remaining functionality that you have developed in sprint 2. All of the functionality you will have to test. When you are adding new functionality, you have, yeah, when you are adding new functionality, you have to make sure that the existing functionality is not broken. Because you have added new functionality, you have to make sure that the existing functionality is not broken, and you have to test all of the test cases and functionality that you have from sprint 1. That is what we are calling regression testing. Make sense, guys? Okay, so I'll send a summary like what we have discussed, and I'm recording this session. I'll be sending it to you. One of the so far we have discussed positive testing, negative testing. We have discussed what is called integration testing. We have discussed smoke testing, right? And then we have discussed regression testing, right? Can anyone tell me what you know about system testing? Mm-hmm.
And you are that is like Windows, Mac, operating system.
System testing, yeah.
Blackbox.
System testing, yeah, is done with the tester.
Like requirement and kind of like integration testing. Like combine our parts of the system, kind of like black box testing.
Um, okay. So in system testing, remember we have discussed during system testing what we do. During system testing, we test the system end to end. End to end means, let's say if a system has printer, scanner, if a system is making a phone call, right? We associate all of the devices that software is needing, and then like all of the device, all of the external internal device, the system need to operate full functionality. We associate all of the device and then we test the application end to end. That is what we are calling system testing. So with everything integrated, all of the device whatever it needs is associated with the system, and then we test end to end functionality. Does it, do you guys have any question?
Testing and is cover all the
Yeah, so end-to-end testing, and it has, if it has any external devices, if it whatever it requires to go from end to end. No, so to give you an example, if you say what is end-to-end testing, so if you consider a banking application, right? Let's say you open application, you log in, and then you go to check your activities, and then you change your address, and then you view your statement, and then you might be you might be printing your statement. There is, you might be clicking on print, and you might check if it is printing, and then there might be option, let's say you might be able to scan checks. You will have to have a scanner associated with it. You will be scanning the checks, and you make sure that it is scanning properly, check is scanned properly. And then let's say the you can email your statement, you will be sending email, right? Can you see what I'm touching? I'm not only, so I'm bringing here, if the system has a capability of scanning documents, you are bringing this scanning process. If the system has a functionality of printing, you are directly printing, clicking on print and make sure that it is printing, right? So all of this end-to-end functionality you test in system testing. Does it understandable? So what is specialty in system testing? The
You have to integrate all your external systems and
external system, basically whatever
all
it
these
requires,
things.
you test end to end here. Whatever functionality you have, if it includes any scanner, printer, and any other, right? Let's say there might be devices, there might be a system, right? There might be system which uh,
Card scanner, maybe a card
yeah,
reading the processor, something.
yeah, exactly.
Parts and service.
More specifically, you, if your system has a functionality that it tests, it reads the temperature, room temperature, you will have to have a thermostat so that you get the input temperature input in your computer. If your computer program starts a fan, including a, you have to test it by connecting a fan. All of these things you will have to bring in system testing. Any further question on system testing? Okay, all right. um Hopefully it is helping. So the next question that I want to ask you guys, unit testing, about unit testing. Who does unit testing? What is unit testing?
Testing is check the code or whatever the code is working properly as far as the requirement document is actually done by the developer.
Done by the developer. So here the unit of the code is tested. That unit of the code is tested. So Nahid bhai, can you give us an example of unit testing?
Develop only the login, then login box, then coding part. Now they're gonna in their own system they're gonna test only this code, the developer. So okay, this box is accessing and is showing the username, password, or you can is able to put the credentials. Only this part, like one unit of this application.
One unit of this application. Yeah, that is correct. So here the unit of the code is tested. To give a more granular example, right? So so here, let's say that function, we go function level. Function level means you will understand what is function in the later phase of the course when we will do Java and all the other discussion. But functionality, what happens if I want to give you an example? Let's say in the college or when you do your academic degree, right? You might have developed a calculator by Visual Basic or any other language. Okay, so a calculator as a whole, a calculator, what it does a lot of things, right? So for each of the functionality, right? Let's say when you when you do summation, right? 5 plus 2, the calculator is able to give result 5 plus 2 equal to 7, right? So we do not consider the whole calculator. We just take that sum functionality, and in that sum functionality we supply two numbers, and we make sure that that particular sum functionality is giving 5 plus 2 equal to 7. To give a specific example about what is called our unit testing, we test the unit of the code. We test the unit of the code. How? We test the unit of the code by supplying value to the function and checking if the function is giving appropriate value, appropriate result. Does it make sense? Okay, so that is what we are calling unit testing. Next thing, and the last thing regarding different kind of testing that we are going to discuss, black box testing, white box testing, and gray box testing. I want to hear your understanding about these three testing: black box testing, white box testing, and what is called gray box testing. Any of you can discuss these three types of testing.
Blackbox testing is a full functional testing and blackbox testing. So we analyze the requirement document and we cover those test cases and scenario perform execute the various types of functionality, negative and testing without knowing the complete without the internal complete knowledge. Basically, whatever we do as a QA tester, that's all the blackbox. White box testing that means done by the developer.
Is that what you want to say, Navid?
The white box actually is done by the developer because they have a full knowledge of the uh, so it's done by the developer. The gray box testing is
Okay, Nahid bhai, I want to hear from you.
all the time going to like whatever the bill is sent to us, just write down examine it. But we don't go for the on the back coding or anything. We don't go for the development. That is like whole functionality. We do it by pairing this black box testing and the white box testing is done by the developers. They have their own code, their own system. They do the white box testing. And red testing is like red testing is like I forgot exactly.
Okay.
I know actually what is the red testing. Some like we have some partial knowledge of testing. Yeah, sometimes important for the coding, to dig down. Sometimes for some testings you go for to check that coding. So we have in our partial, have a developer partial go learn little bit, and then go back to the coding to make that case. That's the
Okay. Okay, got it. To so these three types of testing, um, black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing. To give you a little bit more information on this, um, this Sharmin, can you hear me now in the class? Sharmin, are you in the class? Okay, okay, sure, sure. So you missed a little bit portion of the class, but we have recorded it. You can go through. Basically, we have discussed different kind of testing. Um, this different understanding different kind of testing. I've recorded it. I'll be supplying you this recording. So we'll also summarize. So in black box testing, that is what you will be doing. If you work in a QA industry, you will be doing black box testing. You will not have any internal knowledge of the application. You will not understand the code, right? You will get the system as a black box. You will get the application as a website. You will go to website, you will be inputting, if there is a login, you will be inputting credential, you will be looking like, you do not have to have any microscope. You will be looking at the application with plain eye. You will be looking, okay, there is a link here, if this link is working, right? You will be clicking on the link and you will see that according to the expectation, if the link is displaying the right place. According to the expectation, if you click on a link, if you go to Facebook, right? If you go to Facebook and then if you want to see someone's profile, you click on that person. Let's say you have clicked on Mr. X, you want to see Mr. X profile. But if you, when you click on Mr. X, if you see, oh, this is Mr. Y, right? This is not correct. So that is what, with your plain eye, you will be testing the application without understanding any code, without understanding any internal architecture of the application. That is what we are calling black box testing. You have the application as a black box. You do not know what is inside that black box. Everything is black there. You will only see the application in your plain eye. You will be going through the functionality to see if the functionalities are working. That is what we are calling black box testing. Okay. Now, white box testing. If the box is white, right, you will be able to see what is inside. So here in this particular type of testing, you have the application. You as a tester, nobody will expect that you will be doing white box testing. The job that you know is black box testing. This white box testing is a specific type of testing. Skilled people, they are not directly the developers, but they have knowledge of the code. They understand the code. They do not write the code, but they understand the code. They know the internal architecture of the code. Okay, so that is what we are calling white box testing. A specific skill tester, few skill tester who understand the code, who know the internal architecture of the code, and then they test the application. Now, what is code? Can anyone explain what is code? I'm telling using this word a lot. Code. What is code?
Functional key.
Functional key. Okay, I got it. What you said. Anybody else want to add what is code?
Writing to me is functional.
Code is actually language. We write it
Functional action.
to make it functional action. Okay. Who else want to say what is code? I want I want to see everyone is participating here. What is code? Anyone else want to add any answer? What is code?
Code is actually specific language the system understand only, and that gives us the
So you have given three definition, brother.
then the final code is a
Okay.
language that is understood by the system, and that gives us required expected result.
Okay. Yeah. Understandable. Sharmin, you want to add what is code? Acha. Code is a language. Okay, that's fine. Good definition. Naved, what is code?
Code is a language, and it is yeah, it is the language of
Okay. Omid, can you hear us? Omid, are you there? I see beep from Omid from your side. Okay. Now, can you tell me what is code? What is your understanding about code? Code is a programming language. Okay. I'm sharing. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Let me tell you what is code. So you will see a lot of application, Facebook, right? A lot of computer application. If you open computer, so many website you can go Instagram, right? wellsfargo.com, bankofamerica.com, wallstreet.com, right? All kind of application. Everything is so nice. You can read, you can see lot of if you go to Amazon, lot of products, right? There's a lot of products. Now, what is code, right? Now, if you right click, can you see I have right click here, and if you click on that view page source, guys, can you see that view page source, right? If you click
Yeah.
on that view page source, now what do you see? That is what is code. Every computer application, right? Every computer application is built by using code, by using programming language. All the beautiful application that you use in your day-to-day life, so far you have used throughout your life, all of this application, can you see, is written by computer programming language. Can you see? Do you understand what they are saying here? Probably not that much, right? If you take a look here, div, class, grade, column, 300 feet, power. You might not understanding that much about it. Can you see like what is code? So to explain what is code, to write any computer, like this computer do not understand our language. This computer do not understand our language. Computer, like if you want to talk to someone from Italy who doesn't understand any other language than Italian, you will have to speak to them in their language. If you want to speak to someone from, let's say, um, from Argentina, you'll have to speak in Spanish, right? So you'll have to speak to the language. Now, computer understand only computer's programming language. So if you provide any instruction by using its programming language, then computer understand it. Computer, see, if you go to Amazon, right, you see a lot of product, you see all of the beautiful images, right? Remember, in the flip side, in the other side, everything is code. So what computer does, computer translate this code into these beautiful websites. Like this is a website, right? In the flip side, everything is code. Computer translate it to the beautiful things. So that is what this code, computer programmer writes the code and computer understand it. In a simple word, you understand what is code? The code is like a computer understand code and computer programmers write code to develop different computer applications. And code is like you can write code by, there are different computer languages, there are C language, there are Java language, there are Python language, there are so many languages what computer understand. If you write your program by any of this language, computer will be able to understand the code. You will be learning Java here, that computer will be understand. Now, in white box testing, right, the person, a specific person who will do is white box testing, they will have the capability, they will have the capability to understand code, they will know the internal architecture of the application. And then you come gray box testing. In gray box testing, what we do in gray box testing, Actually, again, you are not Greybox tester. There are specific tester people who will understand the code little bit, not that much, but they will have internal little bit knowledge of internal architecture of the code. So those people will be doing Greybox testing. So these three types of testing: black box testing. You as a tester will be working as a black box tester, and then white box testing, a specific scale tester who understand code, who knows the internal architecture of the code, and then another types of testing we are calling DevOps testing. In this type of testing, tester will have minimal knowledge of the application and code. Okay, so these three types of testing. So far, can anyone summarize what are the different type of testing that we have discussed?
We talked about positive testing, negative testing,
Mhm.
then integration testing,
Mhm.
system testing,
Mhm.
black box testing, white box testing, and then gray box testing,
Unit testing, smoke testing, system testing. Yeah, I'll be putting all of this testing in a document. Also, I have recorded this class, and I'll be putting all of this testing in a document, and I'll be sending you this document. Okay. So,
can we little bit focus on the sanity testing also?
right. So, let me tell you about sanity. I'll be actually in that document. I'll be putting more testing types, and I'll be asking you in the next class if you have any question. And yeah, yeah. And if you do not have any question, I'll be asking a question. Now, what is sanity testing? So, sanity testing is, let's say that there are bug fixes. The developers have fixed a lot of bugs, right? Now, in sanity testing, we do sanity testing when there is a bug fix, then we do sanity testing to make sure that all of the bugs, those have been fixed, right? They are they are properly fixed. So in the sanity testing type, we do specific testing uh, specifically after there is a bug fix in the application, and after the bug fix we do uh, test uh, some specific test cases regarding those bugs or regarding those defects. And in the sanity testing happens basically when there is a bug fix in the bug fix, or there is a code modification, minor code modification, then we do sanity testing.
In the sanity testing, we don't go for whatever the bug fix, we just check only that box, that part only. We
That is
don't go for the whole other
that is that is
application.
that is correct.
So it's kind of like because we regression testing like kind of like normally on there is a box fix, go for the other build and then regression testing. So the other uncertainty around that investigation testing. But for the sanity testing will be instructed only for that box which is fixed, that part.
So
This will be very
specifically,
specified.
specifically, if people ask you, okay, what is sanity testing? If there is a bug fix or minor code changes in the application, we only test only those part of the application where bug was detected and fixed. So that is what we are calling sanity testing. The testing that we do after bug fix, we are calling that type of testing as sanity testing. Are we good? Okay, so as I'm sharing, let me bring another document. I have a lot of things in my plate that we need to discuss here, but for today, I'm going to discuss a little bit on a topic that, let me bring this. Where is my document? Where is it? Can you see my my screen here. First of all, now that you are in QA field, right? The different objects that you see in the computer, it has a name. It has a name that as a tester you will be using for. So I'm going to introduce you with these names of different objects. Okay. Now, can you see? Let's say that if I go there, google.com, right? Now, go to my document. Hyperlink. What is hyperlink? So, if you type www.google.com or www.cnn.com, right? This is what we are calling hyperlink or URL. Hyperlink or URL. So here, one thing that is there is a specific difference between URL and hyperlink. Okay, so in the address bar, what do? You type www.google.com, right? This is what URL is. And then if you come here, can you see, if you put your cursor here on top of about, it becomes a pointer. Can you see that? So whenever you see it becomes a pointer, these are hyperlink. Hyperlink. If you click on it, you will be able to see a page. It will take you to a particular page. So what is the difference between URLs and hyperlinks? Can anyone help me understanding URLs and hyperlinks?
So you can type it.
Very good, very good. Now, can you see this one? You can type here, right? Can you type here in this part of the application? Can you type? No, you can type here anything, right? That is what we are calling text box. This is text box where you can type. And then can you see web button? Web button, right? Can you see that you can click on this? Although these are hyperlink here, right? Hyperlink. Sometimes, let me tell you this. Okay, if you right click and then if you do inspect, right? Okay, now you will see that, can you see this is input and name button K? Can you see this? This is a button. Can you see button and type submit? I'll give you more specific example, but if you click right click on this and if you inspect, right click on this one and inspect, can you see this is A? A means hyperlink. This is A. Whenever you see A, it is a hyperlink. And sometimes you will see input or button. These are buttons. When you can click on it, sometimes it will be you'll be able to what is called. You'll be able to, it will be a pointer, but still it is not a hyperlink. It is not a hyperlink. Hyperlink, if you inspect and see if it is an A, then only it is a hyperlink. Does it make sense? Okay. So if it is understandable, I'll be going to the next thing. Let me know if you have any question. Then radio button. Anyone asking question? Okay. So radio buttons. Can you see, sometimes you will see that this type of radio button, right? Where out of this radio button group, you will be able to select only one radio button. You cannot select both of it. That is what we are calling radio button. Radio button. Radio button work as a group. from the group, you can select only one. You cannot select more than one. Okay, and then you will see drop down list box. Let me go to a particular website to explain more on this. So this will be more needed when you learn automation using Selenium and Java. You'll see that you will understand why we are calling this button, where we are giving different names, right? So let's say that this is a text box, right? This is a text box, this is a text box, this is a hyperlink, this is a URL. Okay, and then if I log in, let me see, what is my password? Okay, I'm not able to log in. Let me see. No, I'm just trying to log in to show you something. Yeah. Not able to log in. Okay, let me just register a user. Let me put password L1234 5 at the rate. Let me quickly respond to this call, guys. Give me 1 minute. Sorry. So here uh, I'm giving L1234 5 and I'm going to submit. Okay, save now. So if you come here, let's say flights, right? Now let me, so can you see these are radio buttons? You cannot select both of it. And then can you see here, from this you can select one of these. This is what we are calling drop down list box. Drop down list box. So that is why we are calling drop down list box. Both of it is a drop down list box. Okay, so let me go back to this application. So that is what we are calling drop down list box. This is a drop down list box again. This is a drop down list box again. Nabet, can you tell me what is this? This is a drop down list box. What is this? Sharmin, can you tell me what is this? No, this one is radio buttons, right? This is drop down list box. Now let me tell you this. What is this, right? If you inspect this, can you see this is not A? That means this is a button. This is a button. Now click on continue. Let me close this. Okay. Now can you see again what is this? This is radio buttons. From this radio button, how many options you can select from here? Just only one. This is a separate radio button. You can select one option from there. If you click continue, now you come here, right? So what is this? This is a text box. You type something here. Type something here, right? You type something here. Right? What is this? Drop down list box. Okay. What is this? What is this? No, no, this one. No, 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 no. This is checkbox. Remember that. Checkbox. When you have checkbox in radio group, you can only select one option from there. When it is checkbox, you can select multiple things, right? Remember this. When you do automation, it will be very important. So let's say that if you inspect this, right click, and if you inspect, you will see that. Can you see? This is type checkbox. Can you see? Type checkbox. So this is a checkbox. Okay. So these are the different type of objects that you will be using in your QA. Now you will be able to say, okay, what is the name of this object? You now understand what is URLs, you now understand what is hyperlink, what is text box, what is button, right? What is button, what is radio group, what is drop down list box, right? What is hyperlink, what is checkbox, everything you understand, right? Is it? So URL is what you type here, www.newtools.demut.com. This is what is this is what is URL. Now hyperlink, can you see? If you put your cursor and if it becomes a pointer, right? This is what hyperlink is. And if you inspect hyperlink, always you will see it is A. A means encode. A with href. So this is what is hyperlink. Does it make sense? Okay. So from this point, I'll be sending you this document, our manual testing discussion. Do you want to take a 10-minute break and come back for Oracle to do the Oracle discussion? We have a few important things that we want to discuss. You do not want to miss that, but you want to take a 10-minute break before that? Or you want to continue, guys? Okay, so in this case, now it is 11:08. From 11:20, we are going to start from 11:20, exactly from 11:20. So you can stay on the call. I will remain mute. Other than that, at 11:20, I'll be unmute myself. That's all. I'll be talking to you from 11:20. We might be discussing an hour on Oracle, an hour or a little bit more, an hour and 20 minutes on Oracle. We have few topics to discuss, so please come back. Thank you, guys. Talk to you.